Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel, this wonderful house of horrors. And today we're going to be talking about Riot's recent decision making regarding dynamic queue, solo queue, queue balls, queue tips, and all the other things. And you've probably noticed, this isn't League of Legends, well this is Overwatch, like playing some Roadhog. And I figured this game would be appropriate for this video because this is the game that everybody swears that they're going to flee to. Because League is dying. Riot's gonna kill it. Thank God Overwatch is out. Yeah, well, I'll talk about that more later in the video, but yeah, there's been a lot of hype around Overwatch lately, and it's deserved. This game's really good. But alright, let's launch right into it. So as you probably know, about 6 months ago, Riot released Dynamic Queue. Now the big thing I want to get out is that those stinky fuckers also released a new champ select at the same time. Kids, Dynamic Queue is not the new champ select, it's not the same thing. Like, you'd be able to queue, like, if they use the system that they use now, where you can just queue up for 2 roles, they could have done that with the old system where, they had solo queue and all that good shit. They're simply very different. Dynamic queue, right, it's like a high school simulator, so you and, like, 3 or 4 other friends, no, actually, no, you and 3 other friends or 2 other friends, join a game and you socially shun and not talk to some of the players on your team. It's really good. It, like, builds character for the future. Right, it teaches people like what they're gonna run into, and it's great. Like there's like a real lack of communication. And also if that person fucks up, you get to demean them endlessly, and if you fuck up, right, and that person points it out, it's okay. You still get to demean them endlessly. Like I said, good stuff. High school light right there. And the problem arose where not only with the dynamic queue system causing ridiculously high match times, well, queue times, excuse me. All the queues I'm throwing around here, queue times, wait times. Should probably specify that. At the higher elos like Diamond, Master, Challenger. But it became an extremely frustrating experience if you didn't have like people to play with. Now I know in the real world everybody has friends who play this game, but like in my fake imagination world where maybe your friends prefer shooters or maybe they actually don't play MOBAs or play PC gaming, but that would never happen. Come on, who am I kidding? Riot has data to back that up, right? It became an extremely frustrating experience for solo players because they would either get stomped by a 5-man pre-made or like a 4-man and 1, or the people on their team, like I said before, would be a pre-made and just like not talk to them. So that's always fun. But Riot did remedy the situation. They released like roughly 4 months ago. They're like, yeah, solo queue's gonna come back. Now this has been a bit debated because they did release another blog post saying that it may not come back. It was like largely hinted at, but for the most part, they never explicitly said when dynamic queue was released that, hey, that thing you had that you really liked, it's not there anymore. Bum bum ba. Yeah, but eventually we learned a few days ago solo queue is not coming back, and holy shit, did that cause a fuck ton of backlash. Shit show of the century right there. People were pissed. They're like, oh my god, I'm quitting League. I'm not coming back. And people do have a right to be pissed. No, solo queue is an extremely stupid decision. There are people who like to play alone. Like, I play alone. I have friends who play the game, but I like to play alone most of the time just because I like to test myself against, my opponents and see how good I am. Now, of course, that environment doesn't exist anymore because you're going at least 1 pre-made. Like, at least 2 people are queued up together on the enemy team these days. And that's the reality that Riot has created. And it's very fucked up. Like, they say, oh yeah, you can play the game solo, but that's like sending a squad of 5 soldiers in. Actually, no, let's not use war. Let's use paintball. Yeah, it's like sending a squad of 5 people in playing paintball, and then like 1 guy on his own with 4 people on his team off on the other side, right? So imagine that guy just going up against those 5 other guys and getting like riddled with pain. He's like, what the fuck? And the guy who runs the paintball place is like, well, you have the option to play alone. We never said you couldn't. But as you probably learned, playing alone probably isn't the best experience. Now, as I said before, like this caused major heat to be thrown at Riot. Like, a lot of people said that they weren't coming back, but they were done with League. At least the video game portion of it. The competitive scene, like the esports scene, is still going strong. There's no stopping that. It's on its way to world domination. And people said, like I said before, they're gonna, like I said before, they're gonna flee to Overwatch, other games like Dota, Counter-Strike. People were quite displeased. Now, I just want to talk about that for a sec, because kids, you're not quitting League. No matter how much Riot's gonna piss you off, no matter how many dumb, boneheaded decisions they make, Like, they could fuck your mother in front of you and then, like, you know, kill your dad, and you'd still be like, okay, I'll take a 1 month break. You'd come back and play solo queue a few weeks later. Like, they could eat your fucking Nutella. That's how much of a travesty, how much of a crime they could commit against you. And they would still have your playing experience and your money a few weeks later. Like, I'm sorry, but that's just how these MOBAs work. If you're that deep into it to care about dynamic queue, outside of the core gameplay elements, like, you know, outside of the things on the rift, I guess you can say, like competitive integrity and solo versus ranked, and not solo versus ranked, solo versus grouped, like, you're deep into this shit. You're deep into the MOBA genre. You've drinking the Kool-Aid. The cult meeting's about to begin. Like, you care. However, Riot made a really, like, probably worse decision right after the solo queue announcement. They announced autofill. So you know how the whole idea of the new champ select is you queue up for 2 roles and you get one of them, so you never have to play something you're kind of bad at? Well, autofill at the high elos means that if you have a high queue time and you're queued for 2 positions but you don't get them, it's just gonna automatically put you in something that you didn't queue at. That's fucking ridiculous. I'm sorry. That's like me going to school for like HVAC, right? HVAC, air conditioning, and like, you know, not interior design. What the fuck am I kidding? Interior insulation, and having them send me out to a job site, and they're like, you know what? I know you've been training in HVAC for a few months, but we don't have a lot of plumbers, so you're gonna handle this fucker's plumbing. Like, I don't do plumbing, but you know, it's like the company I work for is like, yeah, you do plumbing now. Learn it on the job at the highest level. Like, it's gonna be a literal shit show. I'd be covered in shit. Like, that's just how it would go. I'd be blowing up toilets, like, just for the fun of it by the end of the day, because I knew there was no chance in hell that I'd be, like, you know, able to actually succeed. And at the highest elos, that's what makes it worse. Like, maybe in bronze, a mid-bronze main is no different from a support bronze main, or maybe you can play 1 or 2 champions so you can just cheese the role. Like, you can do some weird shit like a Twisted Fate ADC, or like a Maokai support and get away with it. But like Master and Diamond and Challenger, holy shit. Could you imagine like a guy who doesn't have a lot of mid lane experience, like at the high level, going against a you know, main mid laner like fucking Bjerg or like Jensen, or like a high level player, or even a challenger player, even just somebody who's really fucking good but maybe you don't know about yet? It would be an ass blasting the legs the world has never seen before. Like, it wouldn't even be 18 and up, it would be NC 17, where not only do you have to be an adult to get in, but the adults, like, under 25 are actually recommended to have some parental guidance there. It would be that fucked up. Like, really fucked up. Like, human centipede levels of fucked up. So I can't wait to see the videos that come out of that, you know, illustrating exactly why Riot fucked up on Reddit. And Riot will be like, oh yeah, sorry. Communication wasn't the best. Now, they also got rid of ranked 5s, which apparently very few people played, but I think that's actually, I want to talk about it because it's counterintuitive to their whole message as a whole. Yeah, all the holes. They're sprouting up everywhere because Riot hasn't filled them. Oh! Okay, now let's get serious for a sec. Now, Riot has pushed a more social experience to the game. That's why they launched Dynamic Queue. That's why you're now allowed to queue with people, or at least more than 2 people in ranked. That's why there are pre-mades. That's why they got rid of, you know, solo queue. The entire lifeblood of their game, like the future, they're basing on social play over competitive play. However, getting rid of ranked 5s is ridiculous because it's a social play, like, experience. Like, you and 4 other people have to play together in a team environment in order to succeed. It's one of the things that League of Legends is built upon. Like, one of the core pillars of the game is 5-on-5 team fighting. Yet they got rid of something that seems to go hand in hand with their new philosophy. Like, it's just so fucking weird, man. Like, it's like Golden State. Like, imagine they were like, alright, we really want to double down on this 3-point shooting thing. So, Steph Curry, here's a $73 million contract. Klay Thompson, you've been traded to Orlando. Like, that's the idea. It's like you're keeping one thing that's good for, like, you know, your goals ahead, and then getting rid of something that also fills those same goals just because you don't like it for some reason, or because not a lot of people recognize it or know that it's as good as, like, you know, the other experience. The sports jokes here are real. I don't know, it just seems really unusual. That's just me. Now, the biggest thing to come out of this is people have questioned competitive integrity. Now, competitive integrity is actually like a meme in some circles because Riot uses it in every possible explanation. why the rider walk across the street. Competitive integrity. He had to race a guy in the wheelchair. Had to make it even. Like it's, but if you read any of the Riot Police posts, you'll know. And also, it just came out today. I just remembered this, right? That LCS teams are actually quoting dynamic queue to play in-house solo queue on the tournament realm, and that's going to be awful for competitive integrity. Because if you're a high challenger player and you're wanting to break into the pro scene, one of the ways you do that is by maybe performing well against like a player already on a team, or at least playing against those high-level LCS players in order to gain better experience. But I don't know, it's like being a gladiator and all you do is fight dummies or like training boys. And then once you eventually do get called into the arena, to the Coliseum to fight, and like, you know, Emperor Riot, Emperor Socrates. It's ironic because the Emperor's a Roman thing and Socrates was Greek, but that's, you know, completely different. Is there watching you in like, you know, with the ghost of Riot light behind him. And you pull out your sword and you're like, alright, let's do this. And then the guy you're against is like 6 inches taller, more muscular, and more experienced than you are. It's like you're gonna get killed instantly. It's just not gonna happen, man. Now, in a way, this is good because it'll force Riot's hand, because if it's one thing they care about, it's like maintaining that juicy competitive scene that brings in the cool. I think it was like 500 million last year. Maybe it was even more. Yeah, the prize pool for Worlds was like ridiculously high. Actually, no, Worlds was 1 million, but the individual prize pools, like the drop off wasn't steep at all. There was a lot of money to go around. So Riot's really gonna want to keep that shit going. But I don't know, man. They got a lot of fancy numbers and statistics that say that we're wrong. You know, maybe some guy will raise his hand at like a Riot event and he'll be like, hey, you're gonna bring solo queue back in like a Rioter and a Riot employee, rapper. Be like, hey, I know that sounds like a good idea. I know you think you want it, but you don't. Yeah. If you don't get that reference, Google, I know you think you want that, but you actually don't. It's fucking hilarious. It'll truly make you realize what not to do when managing a company. But in conclusion, I just want to say that even though competitive integrity is kind of fucked up, and people are maybe are reacting very negatively towards this, the game's gonna survive. Hopefully. Maybe.